This is take one of the podcast.
Of the, what was one of the names?
Fake it till you make
Fake
it.
it till you make it.
Slash. It'll get better.
It'll get better.
Maybe.
Question mark.
Yeah. Right. Okay.
Okay. What do you want to do with this podcast?
I think we all want to make ourselves feel better.
We want young people to feel more relieved that they're not the only ones that feel that they're not good enough.
Mm-hmm.
And that comes, there's lots of things that are to do with that. For example, ethical living. We're going to talk about physical appearance, such as like how you dress.
Yeah, fashion. Yeah, the way you dress.
Fitness,
your dietary requirements and such. Yeah.
And like expressing yourself and making sure you look like unique and you, and, you know.
And the pressures associated with that.
Yeah.
And all the insecurities.
Yes. Right, let's find this thing. Should we all say what our names are and what we study?
That's a good idea.
Yeah. Okay. My name's Henny Woods, and I study digital film production at Ravensbourne.
Hi, I'm Nally, and I study film as well, film production.
I'm Anastasia, and I study graphic design, also at Ravensbourne.
Big up Ravensbourne.
Big up Ravensbourne.
Yeah.
Although we have our complaints.
Oh yeah. Big up the complaints.
I guess every uni will have like complaints though.
Right, okay.
Do you reckon?
Yeah, probably.
Hopefully.
I mean, everyone's got an issue at some point, right?
Okay,
cool.
Should I start off with one of these questions?
Yeah.
Just an easy one.
Sure. Do you want to get it on the laptop? Might be easier.
Yeah, it might be easier.
Yeah.
Okay, the first one is, what star sign are you, and do you believe in horoscopes?
I'm Cancer.
Yeah.
I definitely don't believe in horoscopes. And people that... I don't have anything against people that do.
Yeah.
But when people blame things or relate things to their star sign or whatever they are,
Yeah.
it really gets on my nerves.
I know what you mean, I hate it too.
Yeah.
But I've never really met anyone who's been like that.
I know a few people.
Yeah, my ex was very into star signs, and it was just like
Would
the most annoying.
she say, "Oh, you're such a..."
Kind
whatever?
of, like, she would, it was more than just horoscopes, it was like the exact position of where you were born and the exact time.
Yeah, no,
and,
I've seen like how they do it.
And it's more about astrology, and it's like a proper thing, and it was always cause arguments. And and like I remember she would talk about how so and so wouldn't get along because they're an X and he's a Y and stuff like that. But I'm with Anastasia on this one. I'm also Cancer, but it does not matter at all.
It's too vague, and everyone could probably relate to all of them, probably.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you think though, like your ex-girlfriend, probably like really enjoyed like reading up on this stuff? Do you think it gave her comfort?
Yeah,
it's like
I would
something
say so.
to believe in that isn't necessarily religious, so I can see why people do turn to it.
And to explain things.
Yeah, like it does offer a lot of explanations, but then it's just like not accurate at all. Yeah. So I guess it's...
Yeah, I think she did really enjoy that. She liked having that to comfort her and stuff like that. I don't know. I would always try and not talk about it because I didn't want to start an argument. Yeah. But I'm trying to think.
It's like a lot of beliefs and religions, though, isn't it? Like comfort in not having that unknown, just having something there.
I mean, generally speaking, I'm really against all that stuff, because I like the idea of free will, and I don't like the idea of I don't like the idea of fate, because I think if fate was to be real or whatever, then I'm not in control of my life. Yeah. And I don't like that. I don't like the idea that I'm not in control.
Really?
Yeah.
See, what I like thinking, so you might hate this.
Right.
I like thinking that the universe will put things in my path and like say, that's what you need. Okay. That's what you need. And if it's something really hard, then it's like, oh, you'll learn from this. And even if that's not true, I feel like it calms me down and makes me think, well, this is meant to happen, and There's
Okay.
nothing that I can do. It's just sort of meant to be there.
Do you believe in like putting things into the universe and then you think it's going to happen?
What do you mean, like law of attraction?
Like, so for example, I just did a unit where you could win a competition at the end,
Yeah.
but I tell myself I'm not going to say that I'm going to win, because then it's almost like jinxing myself. But
Oh, really?
One of my friends was like, I want to win, I'm going to win, I'm really trying to win.
Yeah.
Whereas I was very like reserved and didn't want to say I was going to win.
Yeah. I
So
know what
like,
you mean.
think like putting things into the universe, will it
Mm.
happen or will it not?
I sometimes do the thing where you're like, prepare for the worst. No, was it expect the worst, hope for the best, or something?
Right. So you always have the worst case scenario
Yeah.
in your mind
So your
prepared
expectations are
I always-
already low.
Yeah,
Yeah,
if you
exactly.
constantly have your expectations low, you're never going to be disappointed.
Yeah.
See,
Right.
like, you know, you were saying about your grade, you
Mm.
were expecting it to be bad,
Yeah.
but it was good. But if you're expecting it to be good and it was bad,
Then you're
Yeah.
more.
then you're gonna
hurt.
feel like crap.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
It's quite a good like safety
Yeah.
net. I feel
And
like.
it's really interesting because I don't know about you guys, but all of my sort of role model figures in my life, people above me, like older than me, have always told me the opposite. They
Yeah.
have your expectations high, like have high
Yeah.
expectations,
Yeah.
reach for
No.
above, constantly put yourself at a higher level. Whereas because we all feel we're not good enough, we have like a low
Yeah.
barrier where we're just like, yeah, I'm gonna aim for the lowest, and in that way I can't get hurt.
I know what you mean. It is that like the fact that if we think we did well and then we got a really bad grade, like the fact that that is so terrifying to us, it links back to like the whole thing, that idea of what we're talking about of not feeling good enough.
Mm.
And was it 60% of young people feel pressured to succeed? It's like that whole
Yeah.
lifestyle
Definitely.
now, and like how we're encouraged to compete against each other.
Yeah, it's crazy. It all boils down. You could get political with it because of the nature of the way
Capitalism.
our environment and the way we're governed in
Mm.
this country. It's like you quickly need to get a job and you quickly need to
Yeah.
like earn a living so you can buy a house, buy a mortgage, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
And you need to start really young, otherwise you're never gonna make it.
Yeah,
So it's scary.
it is scary.
Yeah.
Well, this podcast is meant to relieve
Yeah.
that scariness.
Offer some sort of advice.
Yeah.
Yeah, but hopefully, I think just even
Talk about it.
addressing it
Yeah.
makes you
Yeah.
feel a bit more comforted.
Yeah.
At least for me.
Yeah,
Speak
no,
from our own experience.
Yeah.
I'm sure we've all got different
exactly.
takes
Yeah,
on
Mm.
it.
for sure.
Yeah. And if anyone wants to buy me a house, you know, like, yeah.
That's gonna be the main financial pressure of young people,
Oh yeah.
because apparently 80% of people who go to uni won't pay back their student loan because they won't end up earning enough anyway.
Yeah,
And,
and
like-
isn't it like when you're 40,
Yeah.
it just goes away?
Yeah, I think
I
it's
think
like 50.
no, I think
or
it's after 30 years, if
Yeah.
you haven't paid it back, they just cancel it or
Yeah.
something like
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I remember in secondary school, my English teacher was still repaying her loan,
Really.
and that was
Yeah.
back when she was at uni, which I
Mm.
assume would have been like a fewer tuition, lower tuition.
Okay, I wanted to ask this one. Why do you think people do what they do? It
Right.
sounds really vague, but
Why do people?
like everyone.
When I first saw this question, I instantly went to extremists.
Yeah.
And thinking like,
What?
how are we humans, but they also be humans?
Yeah.
I find it really hard to think like, how do you have the same makeup, like in terms of like brain,
Yeah, and someone
but
can
be
do
able
that.
to do that?
Do what exactly? Be specific. What kind of extremists do you mean?
I mean, specifically ISIS is
Yeah.
what I come to mind. Like, how can they
Mm.
do that? But then it all kind of boils down to religion, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the thing. It's really interesting because we see them as extremists, but they see it as like what is required and
Yeah,
necessary
yeah.
to do. They believe genuinely that they're doing something good in the world, and that all boils down to, like you said, religion, and it's the way of thinking, and that's how they've interpreted their holy book, the Quran or whatever, and it's just interesting. That's how the way
Yeah.
people are pushed.
Yeah, it's weird. See, with this one, like I just believe that we're like animals. we're like animals, and everything we do is to reproduce and survive.
This is really interesting.
Yeah.
Right,
Genuinely.
continue. Like I
Okay,
don't want to.
so anything what we do, so dressing how we dress is either, I think that's like to find a mate,
Right.
and like how we look, make ourselves look, it's all just like find a mate.
So we're all. It's
To
all down to our
And, like, to-
intrinsic.
To seem intelligent, that's all part of it. I
Right,
think it's
right.
part to like seem this like. It's more complex because we're humans, because I think animals don't really care if another animal is like clever or not,
Mm.
because they're like, oh, just mating. But I think with us, maybe genes are inherited. Maybe what's the word? Intelligence is inherited. Who knows? I don't know. I think I'm rambling on.
Well, I guess that is the whole reason why we were put on this universe
Yeah.
in the first place, because we are here
Yeah,
to
animals.
reproduce
Right, yeah.
and survive.
Mm.
Like,
Yeah.
A lot of-
It is.
yeah.
And I think a lot of things what we do, it's to keep us happy and motivated to live.
Right.
So like watching TV or doing things that might not seem like you're doing anything. It's all part of your keeping your mental health good, so that you can live long.
Right. Right.
I think. Maybe.
Yeah, that's really interesting. Yeah, like one of my favorite quotes from the film The Matrix is when Mouse, he's a very side character, he says to deny our own impulses is to deny the very thing that makes us human, and I think that's very, very true. It's insane, like all the things you're talking about. Like we're humans and we have all these choices and stuff, but at the end of the day, we're just animals.
Yeah.
We it's all a matter of like hormones and all this and that's what makes our decisions
Yeah.
to some degree.
I think so.
See, when I read that question, okay,
It's quite.
my immediate reaction was we're narcissistic, selfish people that act purely on.
Well, yeah,
on,
we have to be selfish to reproduce and survive.
Yeah,
If
so it
it's-
links into yours.
The
yeah.
competition thing is about who can get a mate.
yeah, exactly.
Mm.
I wrote that because I wrote them down. I wrote people
Mm.
just don't care.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nobody cares about anyone really.
Yeah.
Like, in terms of, like, this is a really stupid example, but just like when you're on the tube and everyone is pushing at rush hour, everyone
Yeah.
needs to be somewhere. So why are you pushing people?
Yeah.
Like, why are you better than anyone else?
Mm.
It's
So
just a
it all
lack
kind of
of
boils
empathy.
down to how you perceive other people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think everyone acts in their own self-interests.
Oh, 100%.
Like, because,
Yeah.
and it's because we've been conditioned to do so in this awful,
Yeah.
tragic world we live in.
I mean, we play sports. We like grade ourselves to like different levels. Like we watch The Apprentice about, who can make the most
Yeah.
money and stuff, and all these competitions on TV.
Hmm.
It's all about competing.
Yeah, and it's like winners and losers. Like that has been the forefront since like we're children, right? You want to be a winner, you don't want to be a loser. If you're a
Yeah.
loser, you're an outcast, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I was going to ask. Okay, throughout your life, have you either wanted to stand out or do you want to fit in, or has it changed, since being at like nursery or since being at secondary school?
When I was younger, I always wanted to stand out. Always.
Really?
Not in personality wise, like in the way I dress. It would always be like really out there compared to everyone else, even in sixth form.
Really?
And then as soon as I moved to London and I was by myself, just completely changed. I
Yeah.
feel like I lost confidence, so that it would change the way I dress. So like
Really?
if I wore like a bright pink jumper, I think, oh, people are gonna look at me, so like
Yeah.
I'll put a black jumper on.
Shit.
So like
Yeah.
I guess it's specific to your situation as well.
Yeah, it's interesting because it's like maybe you feel more vulnerable, so you don't want to stand out. It's like a predator.
Yeah,
type
absolutely.
thing.
I had a similar thing where when I was quite young in like primary school, I really wanted to stand out. And I remember being really keen on drama and acting and all this stuff. And then once I started to get older and I realized, oh, people think of you not just the way you think of yourself. And that's when I started to get really shy and I
Yeah.
stopped doing that. And then I started to become more of the wanting to fit in rather than stand out. and that I think has carried through since that like very young into like secondary school, into college, and even now. Like I think everyone tries to want to fit into a group because we're conditioned to be in groups. Like, and if you're not part of a clique, then you're the outcast, and then even becoming an outcast is its own clique, and it's weird.
Yeah, it's much more weird at school when there's like groups of like types of people.
And it's all about popularity at school as well. Like I feel like
True.
as soon as you come out of school, the idea of being popular isn't a thing anymore. So like school is hard, like for young people, 100%.
I remember
Definitely.
being so happy at college. It was just like my happiest time, I feel like. Just because people were more like chilled out and
Yeah, I remember leaving, like I had a really tiring, bad time in secondary school, so leaving to go to college was incredible. So I was like, I can like reinvent who I am and start fresh, and it was good.
I never thought I hated school until I left. And then I realised that actually it can be a lot better.
Yeah.
Life can be a bit better than this.
Like, have we all experienced bullying to some degree at school?
Teasing at like
Teasing?
infant school.
Right.
And boys would like take my hat or something.
Yeah, we know what that means, right? That's because they
Yeah,
like
but
you. Yeah.
I never thought that.
Really?
Never thought that, no.
But when you were a kid?
Yeah, I was like, no, they hate me.
Yeah. How about you, Anastasia?
Nothing major, like I would get a few comments about my weight when I was younger, but then after that, nothing really. I've been quite lucky, to be fair.
Okay. Yeah, you guys have been very lucky. I went through a lot of bullying.
Did you?
Well, like nothing major, but there was periods when I felt really shit. Like I would go home every single day feeling really shit. Like
Really?
Yeah.
What would
just,
they bully you about?
just teasing, name calling, just being an outsider, wanting to be part of that group and then not being accepted, and then pushing you
I have
away.
experience of that.
Yeah. And then,
sure.
when you're a kid, when you're young, you really want to be in that group of cool kids, and then them pushing you out every single day and like just shitting on you, obviously takes its toll.
Yeah.
But I think, and like I've said this to people before, and it's always been controversial, but I think being bullied isn't always a bad thing, because it can teach you to stand up for yourself. And I think you walk out of it on the other side a better person in a way, because you're now like a different person, because you're now like stronger emotionally and all that stuff.
I get that.
And,
I know, you know, when you look at people and you think they've been so accepted and so praised throughout their whole life, and they seem like they haven't grown.
Yeah. Absolutely. Like you can just
been
tell.
given everything on a plate.
Yeah, like they've had it easy. They've never had to struggle. They've never been the person who was picked last in whatever and all this and that.
But at the same time, they might have had their own struggles that are like completely different, like at home or anything. But like they're in this group, so maybe they feel like they can't turn to anyone. Like you just never know, do you?
Yeah.
With people.
I guess not.
Yeah, damn.
Yeah.
Cool. Do you want to get up with the next one?
I'm not really sure if we should. I don't know. If there's anything we shouldn't talk about?
No, that was one of them.
Oh yeah, that was one of them.
Being bullied was
Yeah,
one of the
but
questions.
also, so if, leading on from that, if you had a son or daughter and they were being bullied, and they were like, oh, Mum, Dad, I'm being bullied, how would you deal with that?
It's really hard.
Oh, for me, it's not hard. I know exactly what I'd do. I would tell them whatever they're doing to you, you do back to them, and you outsmart them.
Yeah.
You be the bigger, you be the bigger person in the sense that, like, obviously I'm not going to promote violence and I don't want them to get violent, but just sort of, I would teach my son or daughter child to stick up for themselves, because, like I said, I've been bullied, and I think the best thing, having experienced it, is knowing how to outsmart them, because obviously violence isn't going to solve anything, but if you can walk out there feeling like you beat them with your words, and if you outsmarted them and then you feel like you've won that battle, that's way better, because I don't know how to explain it.
That's the best way of thinking about it. But if you're in that situation, you're a parent, your instinct is going to be, Annie's going to school and tell people, whereas that's not going to help your kid though, is it? Because they need to learn to stick up for themselves and not just like if it's just going to carry on if you go into the school and it also kind of makes you look
It was always the big scary thing, and don't tell your parents, otherwise they'll come and embarrass you. And
exactly. But
yeah.
like I wouldn't say don't tell your parents because
Yeah.
like it's really important to talk about things.
yeah,
Find a way to kind of not deal with it yourself, but approach it in a way that's going to actually help you.
I think thinking on it a bit more, it depends obviously on how bad it is. But if it was anything other than physical bullying, I would I would teach my child to, hey, you don't need to let this affect you.
Yeah,
These
exactly.
people aren't that important.
yeah,
Look, I'm here. Your brother, sister, mother, whatever. We're all here. We respect you. We love you. Who cares about these people?
yeah,
Like that's the kind of like mentality I would want to teach my kid. And I think the best way to do that is to talk to them all the time growing up, because I never had that with my mum and dad, and that's why I can never talk to them, and I can never talk to them about my problems. But that's definitely what I would make up for if I ever have a child.
yeah.
Just let them know that you're there.
I feel like, I mean, it's what everyone always says, but I always just like didn't react, and then they wouldn't do any. They wouldn't say anything.
Yeah.
That's all it is at the end of the day. They want a reaction, and if you don't give them one,
As much as people say it is true, I feel like you just got to be like.
yeah.
When you're actually going through it though, it's easy
really
to
hard.
say it, but to actually
It's
go
really
through
hard.
it, it's. I
It
mean,
is
I
really
can't
hard.
really speak on it because I haven't. So, but I know people that have, and it's really hard.
Yeah.
So.
It's putting yourself in the right place. That's what it is.
Yeah. Another question leading on from that: if you had a son or daughter that was maybe like early teens or sort of had to start choosing their GCSEs and stuff, and they didn't know what they wanted to do, what career, what would you say to them if they didn't know what they wanted to do with their life?
I wouldn't add any pressure.
Yeah.
I think pressure is something that kids have to deal with, and it's just not necessary at all. Like, there's a certain amount of pressure that's needed to, keep going. But in order to, like, people are growing up too fast. Like, applying for university when I was in sixth form, I found really hard just applying, like, getting my brain into a state where I was applying for something that I was really scared for.
Yeah.
So pressure's just like, if you've got your parent just going in on you while you're scared, it's just not going to help anyone in the situation. So I guess be calm.
Yeah, definitely.
I agree. I would say, because there's all this pressure of they're not going to, like, obviously as a parent you're wanting what's best for your child and you want them to do well. And in the case for me, my parents were always like, okay, you have to go to uni, you have to do this. He wanted me to become an engineer and all this and that. But I think letting your child know that at the end of the day everything's going to be okay and you don't need to feel scared and you're going to do fine and you can take your time and you can do it properly and you don't need to have that extra pressure like Anastasia was saying. I think that's exactly what I would tell my child. Like, just if you feel pressured, just take it, just relax. Like, tell, like, I don't know. That sounds really cliche.
I think also I'd say, don't think about that. Just when you're at home, just do what you enjoy doing and sort of follow it. Follow like what you enjoy doing. So, yeah, like obviously film. If you like film, keep watching films.
Yeah.
If you like drawing, keep drawing. Yeah, I'd probably say that.
Yeah, just follow what you're interested in and your passion.
Yeah.
Like, don't. I would hate for my child to want to go into an industry he absolutely hates just because it's got good money.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want him to be miserable. Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty interesting seeing which one she picks.
Yeah, it's because I don't. Sometimes some of them seem like a massive jump. Should we talk about hating people?
Sure.
Is there anyone you truly hate? You don't have to say their name. I mean,
I honestly don't hate anyone.
really?
Not hate. Like, there's people whose personalities I can't get on board with, and I don't necessarily want to hang around with them. But there's no one I hate. Like, thing is, your interpretation of hate might be different to mine.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
it's
mean,
a strong word.
obviously, like, I feel like I hate people, but I don't want to like kill them or anything.
Right. Yeah, I can relate to that. I don't want to kill anyone, but I will slash their tire. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, I think for me, everything that makes me angry about someone is disrespect, and like if someone deserves respect and they disrespect them, that's what really like makes me angry.
right.
But yeah,
Yeah,
and I feel like I've hated people before.
yeah, I've definitely hated people before, and I used to be someone who would get so easily triggered and like aggressive. Not aggressive, but I would very easily hate people. But then I started to change that, and now I don't even know who I hate, because anyone that I did hate, I just let go, and I don't think
That's
of them
good.
anymore, so I can't even remember even
Yeah,
if I
I
did.
do that as well.
Yeah.
I let go.
I don't give time to them, so I can't
Yeah.
hate anyone, because anyone that has the capacity for me to hate them, I just disregard. Yeah.
Fair enough.
But I think the disrespect is a good one.
Yeah.
Like that's a good point.
That's probably what I value most in life.
Good.
Like respect.
I think respect and like compassion
Yeah.
and like solidarity.
Yeah, definitely.
Mm.
What about, so a step down from that? So do you get irritated with people, and is there a pattern in what irritates you with people?
I find it, I mean, when I was at school, I always found it really hard, people who used to talk about themselves all the time.
Yeah.
But then there's also the case of like, people argue, oh, it's like self-love. But then there's a line from self-love to arrogance, and just, that would really grind my gears when people
Yeah.
used to constantly talk about themselves or inject themselves into a conversation.
I don't think that is self-love. I think that's
At any
insecure.
cost. Yeah,
Insecurity.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know what I dislike in people. I probably have so many, but I just can't think of
Maybe
any
like
right now.
selfishness.
Yeah,
Probably a big
Yeah.
one.
definitely selfishness, and like, you know, racism, and
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah, that's a given.
when people stereotype, or when
Yeah.
people what's the other word, discrimination of any kind.
That's kind of like stupidity.
Yeah,
Like,
of
I think of
course.
that as
Yeah, like
racism.
and when people try to argue against like something that you're clearly so invested in,
Yeah.
purely for the sake of arguing.
Oh
you
yeah,
know what I mean?
yeah. There's lots of people
Like,
like that.
And then I'm really bad at this because I'm so easily wound up.
Yeah.
So people do it to take advantage. They're like, okay, he's easily gonna he's easily triggered. Let's just take the mickey. Let's
Yeah.
and like that's something I need to work on. But yeah,
Do you let things bother you then?
I think
Do you put up a wall?
maybe, I don't know. Like I think people know how to tick my buttons and then like push my buttons,
Yeah.
and then if they do it, they know. Like the other day with Harry, like I was like, okay, all right, I'm gonna stop because this is not gonna end well, and like it's back and forth, and
Yeah.
I don't know, for some reason I can't help it. Like I should say, that's fine, and I need to be more open.
Yeah,
And-
I struggle
yeah.
with that.
I think it's really healthy though to not get on with everyone. Like
Yeah.
if you're making an effort to get on with everyone, it's just not realistic.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Like you can be civil, which is different to getting on with someone because
Yes, this is the thing. I think it was in the Jordan Peterson video that you watched. It's like you respect people who are respectful, who deserve respect.
yeah.
You shouldn't just give respect to everyone you meet,
Yeah.
because I will give you, like, what do you call it? Respect in the sense that I'm not going to discriminate you or anything like that. But if you deserve respect and you're a respectful person, that's when I'll give you respect. And it's like you have to earn it. You know.
Do you know what? I feel like anyone who I meet, I'll just respect them, and then the moment they disrespect me, my respect will turn off. It's
gone.
like as soon as I meet someone, I'll give them respect.
Right.
can they
Unless
get
they-
it back though, or is it just done after that?
Probably just done. I don't know. I don't know. I've forgiven people before. I don't know if that's good or not. But is it still recording?
Yeah, we've been talking for half an hour.
See, I knew it would be long.
Yeah,
That's good. Do you want to do some more?
sure. No, there's nothing.
Okay. What's your biggest fear?
I'll pass it on.
Should we do a different one?
No, I think that's a good one. Do you guys want to talk about that?
I read a book about fear last year.
Okay.
They're rhymed.
She's prepped. How about you?
So one of my main fears is heights, which is really generic, but it generally affects my life in
Yeah.
quite a lot of ways. Like I live in a high-rise block, so you can
Do you?
imagine that it's
Oh,
not
wow.
really the best.
Yeah.
Like I won't go to a certain point near the window because
Really?
if I see down, I'll crap myself. Like, you know, the barriers here.
Yeah.
Mm.
If I go too close to the edge,
Yeah.
I fucking shit myself.
Yeah.
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 Which
yeah.
is a really generic ones, and then there's like other like deeper ones, which
Yeah.
maybe I'll
Scare
write
down.
that. Maybe I'll
Okay.
write down for the future.
Yeah.
Because they're pretty deep. So
Yeah.
Oh, let's go deep. I think mine is like loneliness,
Yeah.
being alone and knowing
Yeah.
that like
100%.
that is terrifying. Like nothing terrifies me more than the idea of you dying in your own house alone with no one there to know.
Yeah.
You know, like oh god,
That
that's
is-
just
that's
scary.
Yeah.
And yeah, wait, I had another one. Yeah.
What I was gonna say was like when I decided to come to this uni and stay in London, like before that I've always hated London. It's always scared me, and like how vast it is and how like busy it is, and it's all very like big and scary. So part of me choosing a uni was like, oh, I'm gonna go to Ravensbourne and live in London because that's what scares me, and I'll learn a lot from it, from going out my comfort zone. But then last year I feel like I kind of just sort of, I got out my comfort zone, but I kind of like just stayed in and was like really scared
Right.
and was too scared to get a job,
I can relate to that a lot.
too scared to do any anything. Well, obviously going to uni, but
Do you feel pressure because you're living in like such a big, amazing city that everyone talks about being this like, oh my god, you live in London,
yeah,
but yet you don't make the most of it, and you know you don't make the most of it.
maybe.
Do you feel pressure from that?
I feel. Oh, the other thing was I felt so guilty.
Yeah.
For how much money was being spent on me living in Scape, and like because obviously it was like £200 a week, and I was like fuck, like that's so much pressure to make. I don't know, just to get something really good out of it, like so much money.
Ridiculous.
I felt really
amount of
guilty.
money.
Yeah. This is insane, right? Money is
guilt.
the problem of everything.
Yeah.
I always use the excuse like, my mum and dad are always like, oh, why don't you go do this? Why don't you go do that? Like, I'm on my own. Like it's just not gonna be as fun. That's the excuse.
Yeah.
Like when I used to live at Scape, because it's like a concealed room.
I hated it.
I would stay in there for like weeks
Same,
without
yeah.
even leaving my room.
Yeah.
Like other than to get food, which is probably the most unhealthiest I've been in my whole life. Like
Yeah, that
Same.
terrifies me.
mentally, not
Yeah.
necessarily physically, but mentally in that room, my parents were genuinely concerned about me because for days
Drove
I
me
wouldn't
crazy as
leave
well.
my room.
Yeah.
It's really unhealthy. I don't know.
Yeah.
Where I live now, I have flatmates, so at least I can,
Same.
when I'm making my food, like I can talk to
So
people.
much better.
Like just for your mental state, not to talk to people for days on end. It's
Yeah.
really,
It's
really,
so horrible.
like really.
It's
affects-
toxic, is what it is.
Yeah.
It's yeah, and like that is very terrifying. I knew that was gonna happen. That's why I decided I was never gonna go to halls because I could not. I like to be around people. I enjoy
Yeah.
people's company. So the idea of me being in a room alone for like days on end is just
It's so horrible, yeah.
yeah. I'm just like, but like you both went through it, and now you're
And
on
now
the
we
other
live
end.
with people, and now
And
we're
you
like-
guys are stronger now.
Yeah, definitely.
To a certain extent.
I feel this year has probably been 10 times happier than last year, because
definitely.
It's really good to
the
hear.
fact that I've got a job, like when I don't have a job, I feel like a worthless human being. Genuinely, like I feel like there's no point in me being here. Like I don't know what it is. It's just about I feel
Yeah.
I need to earn something.
Yeah, you need to be productive in some sort of way.
Yeah.
You need to be earning like your keep.
I had a job last year, and that was kind of my escape from my room.
Yeah.
But I hated where I worked, so it was kind of like I was going from what I hate to what I hate, and my only escape was coming to uni, but obviously we're only here. Well, I'm only in 2 days a week.
Yeah, we had that
Yeah.
last year as well. It's insane.
Sometimes it would only be one. So I
Yeah.
was seeing my uni friends who, like, when I'm at uni is the happiest day of my
Yeah.
week because it's when I'm with people who I generally get on
I
with,
get that as well.
and we have conversations that I'm like genuinely interested in. But when I wasn't at uni, just hated being here.
Yeah,
Just
I hate it.
altogether.
Yeah.
Well, I feel comforted that you both feel the same because I felt like I was like the only one that felt like that.
See, none of my friends live in any sort of accommodation. They're all from London, so none of them can really relate to it. So it's kind of hard. Like, they go home to their families, whereas I was going home to nothing.
Yeah, and that's that's gonna take its toll.
Yeah.
And I can only imagine how horrible that must be. Like right now, last year I was living quite far in North London and I was traveling, and the commute was really awful, and like that had took its toll. But like you said, at least I could go back to see my family, and my family would keep me like happy and all this and that.
Pets as well.
Pets,
Oh,
yes.
definitely.
Oh, I used to get
Absolutely.
so upset like
Yeah.
missing my cats.
Yeah, and like it just when you're not even really upset, you're just kind of a bit blue, and then your cat or dog will walk into the room
Yeah,
and
it
instantly
makes
you
you
feel better. Yeah,
Oh.
it's like a de-stressor.
Yeah.
Mm.
What were we talking about? Deepest fears or something?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
biggest
said
Biggest
loan.
fears.
So what is your?
I
biggest
guess
fear?
I don't really know how to define it. Being vulnerable, maybe. Also, a big one for
I
me,
understand that.
like being in relationships, was cheating, being cheated on.
Being cheated
That
on.
was like one of my biggest fears.
Like taking
Oh.
advantage.
Like the fact that because it relates to the whole not being good enough because
Oh,
it makes me think,
no.
if they cheat on me, that means I'm not good enough for them, and
Oh shit! Yeah.
so that was always a big one. But I kind of think of it differently now. Cheating,
Yeah.
it's a weird one.
I don't think you should worry about it too much. When I was with my ex, I never worried about that because I thought, you never have to worry about it because I'll never get to that. Because if you think about it too much, then you will start to overthink it, and then you'll start to get paranoid about it, and then, yeah,
Right. How long will we be going?
like over half an hour. It's been 37 minutes.
Oh, there's a really sad one. The bottom one's really sad.
Let's
but-
go for sad one. Yeah.
Should we? Okay. What
I'm
would
all
it?
about sadness.
I didn't answer this question.
What is it?
Okay.
Which one is it?
What would it take for your life to crumble to pieces? I find that really sad, like to think about.
Mine's 100%. My parents.
Yeah, I think of that as well.
I think about a lot, like, so we have 4 dogs, and they're like a lot to handle. Like, we just have like a normal sized house. They don't really fit in the house and stuff, and I just think that if my parents, for some awful reason, were to pass away,
Yeah.
I don't know how I'd cope with
Yeah.
these. Like, I get left with
Dogs.
all this,
Yeah.
which is so small, like,
yeah, no, that's
to
a
other
really
people,
sad
but
thing to think
but
about.
like, I just don't know how I would cope, and I
Yeah.
also I know my brother would just completely not cope with it, but also I don't want to put it out in the universe because then I don't want anything to come from it.
I don't
yeah.
think that will that will
Yeah.
happen. Everyone thinks about. I used to think about my parents dying all the time when I was a kid. I used to like cry at night when I went to sleep,
Right.
thinking
Then
about them dying.
did you used to feel guilty about thinking about even them thoughts coming into your head?
I didn't feel guilty. It was just, I was just like, oh shit, that could happen.
Right. Oh, I don't know. I never really. I don't know. I've not experienced death. Like all the death I experienced was always when I was a kid, and I never really knew the person. So I don't know how I'm ever gonna when it happens, which it will inevitably. My grandma, touch wood, she's
Yeah.
very close to the end. I don't know how I'm gonna take it.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I can understand both of what you guys are saying, but for me, I think for my life to crumble to pieces, it would be everyone around me who I love, for them to turn their back on me.
Yeah.
I think if I felt like I had no one to turn to, if I felt like I was truly alone and everyone, if I'd done something awful, like I had made the biggest mistake and no one was there for me to say, it's okay,
Yeah.
like you did a bad thing, but we forgive you, or something like that, like within time. If everyone just shut me out,
Yeah.
and I felt like I think that I would lose it, because
That would
then
be
I'd be
awful.
like, now I have nothing. I think, yeah.
Yeah, you know when like you do something good and you're like really proud of yourself, and the first thing you want to do is just to go and tell your mom or
Yeah.
tell your girlfriend or what, or
Mhm.
your boyfriend or whatever. Not having that
Yeah,
must be like the worst thing.
absolutely, yeah.
Definitely.
This is like a really minor thing. Have you guys seen a film called I Love You Man?
No.
Have
I
you?
think I have.
Okay, so it's, do you know Paul Rudd, the actor?
Oh yeah.
Okay,
yeah,
he's
yeah.
in it, and the whole film was about him getting engaged to this girl, and then when he gets engaged, she's on the phone telling everyone, and then he's just not doing anything because he's like he has no one to tell. He doesn't have the whole film is about him trying to find a best man, a best friend for his wedding, and he has no one to tell. And then the fiance is like, "Oh, do you want the phone? You can tell your work friends." And he's like, "No, I'll just tell them tomorrow at work." And it's like it's having no one, yeah.
That's like the biggest one. That if you get engaged,
And you have no
you
one.
want to tell everyone, but if you've got no one, which brings it back to loneliness. And I think everyone, no matter how much they say they don't, everyone feels some sort of loneliness.
Definitely.
Yeah.
You might have the biggest group of friends, but feel so lonely.
Yeah, because often these people who have the biggest group of friends, are they real friends?
Yeah,
are they
exactly.
really there for you? You know what I mean? Like, it's mad. And the loneliness thing, it's really big around winter. Like the whole thing of like, especially for the
100%.
elderly. Like, imagine how awful that must be.
Breaks my heart.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like they have no one, and it's like cold and yeah.
It's true though. Like you can't. Like if I feel lonely, I go for a walk, but
Yeah.
I don't do that if it's freezing cold.
Yeah.
Which
I know you
for the elderly it must be fucking
Yeah,
horrible.
it's this big thing of it's hard to make friends these days.
Oh.
When we're young, it's easy. You go and you say hi, and you're like 5 years old, whatever. Now it's like,
Can we be friends?
can we be friends? It's like, yeah,
Oh,
you know,
I remember the days when you could just say that.
yeah.
Can we be friends?
Yeah.
What's your name?
Yeah, now it's just like, it's like almost insulting if like, yeah, and
to say
embarrassing, or it's like, it's sometimes, you know, it's like you'll be trying to, you see someone, you're like, oh, they're cool, it'll be cool if we're friends, and then they'll take it the wrong way, and like kindness often gets mistaken for flirting these days, which is really sort of tragic.
Yeah. it's
Or
horrible.
like if you ask someone to be their friend, I always think, are they gonna think I'm desperate? Like,
Right.
Yeah, I think that too. Yeah.
like are they gonna think that I've got no friends? So like, but realistically, all I want is just you look cool, so I want to be your
Yeah.
friend.
Yeah, I get that.
See, I wouldn't even care too much. Like, let them think I'm desperate. I don't care.
I've
Like, a
started
good
doing that.
friend, a good friend won't judge you and won't care about
Exactly.
your, yeah,
I've started
Like-
just saying to people, yeah, I don't really have many friends.
yeah, and I don't
Yeah,
care what
like
they
you said
think.
that to me
Yeah,
the other day.
like you should, yeah, never put like, never worry too much about what people
Yeah.
think is what I say. Like, I'm a hypocrite. I do it all the time, but I'm
Yeah, it's
trying
easier
to,
said
I'm
than
trying
done.
to be that, because you can spend your whole life worrying about what other people think of you, and that will never get you far.
Yeah. I was just going to say about loneliness. I feel like how we live, how humans live right now, is not how we're meant to live. I think we're tribal and we need to live in like, like hunter-gatherer societies when
Right.
we'd live in tribes.
And it was
And
equal.
like all the kids would be looked after in one go, and there was no such thing as private property or family. Like people didn't care about having like partners. Everyone just sort of slept with each other, and
Yeah.
it didn't even matter because they were just one big group of people. I feel like that's how we're meant to live.
Maybe,
And the fact that we live separately in little cubes in fucking Scape or whatever, it's just and like how like capitalism has just made it so that we don't live how we're meant to live.
how the system wants you to live.
Fucking yeah.
Yeah.
How long
Patriarchy. Quite long.
should we go to an hour or should we leave it?
I don't mind.
40
I might
minutes.
have to, like, what time is it?
We can leave it there.
Maybe. I think
to
it's
you.
up to you guys.
I mean, yeah.
Is
Let's
there-
end it off.
Yeah. Is there
I mean,
anything
I think
last
we talked
thoughts?
about all of these things in
Yeah.
that one thing.
Yeah,
So.
that
Yeah,
could be
yeah.
our like
Yeah, exactly.
introduction episode.
Any last thoughts? Anyone? Anything you want to get off your chest?
No, let's leave it. Let's
Okay.
leave it.
Alright, fuck Brexit.
Fuck
that's,
Brexit.
That's the last thing I want to end this on. Yeah.
And thank you for listening. If you are,
If you do
if
listen.
someone is listening to
If
this,
we even put this out there,
this
we
was
might
mainly
not.
just a test.
Yeah.
But thank you.
Much love.
Peace.
Thanks.